Greetings, Ben Murray here with another edition of SaaS Metrics School. So today, talking cash flow, cash collections, and DSO. So first, invoicing. And invoicing requires a proper foundation because if we want to monitor our cash flow, make sure we're collecting on those invoices in a timely manner, we need discipline in our invoicing process. So, for example, what do I mean by discipline in our invoicing process? So, say we send monthly invoices. Let's make sure they go out on the first of the month. If so, we're sending quarterly invoices, the first of that quarter. If we're sending annual invoices on the first of whatever renewal period. So again, of course, some of these invoices don't always follow that calendar month, quarter. Annual invoices could be any time of the year. But let's make sure if they're supposed to go out, if we have a batch of renewals going out on February 15th, that they go out on February 15th. So, because, right, if we don't invoice, we're not going to collect any cash on those invoices. And say we're invoicing monthly and we invoice some customers and then 5 days later we get around to that next batch of invoices. Well, that's 5 days later that you're going to collect on that cash. Because if we have net 30 terms and we invoice 5 days late, well, we can't just say now you owe us in 25 days and then pay us by the end of the month. That could violate the terms of your master subscription agreement or master services agreement. So we have to have discipline in our invoicing process. So when they go out the door, they're going out the door at the right time. They're accurate, they're clear invoices so that we can get paid faster. So there's no confusion when our customer receives the invoice. So then we have a common accounting term called day sales outstanding. And in the show notes, I will put my DSO guide in there, a link to my DSO guide. So what is days sales outstanding? Well, it's a financial metric that tells a business how long it takes on average to collect cash from customers who purchase on credit. Now, credit kind of a fancy term for just sending an invoice and then they've got to pay us later, right? They're just not paying us immediately, say via credit card or just transferring that money on the spot. So we're making a sale on credit. So as we invoice, we can monitor our DSO. So because we don't want those invoices hanging out there for a long time. And how do we calculate the DSO metric? Well, again, I'll have a link in the show notes to this guide, but it's total accounts receivable at a point in time divided by total credit sales times the number of days in that period. And the credit sales lines up to the number of days that we're measuring. So I know hard to kind of maybe visualize that on a podcast, but I'll have a DSO guide for you. So we want to make sure our DSO is not increasing because that means it's taking us longer on average to collect cash from our customers. And again, now this gets back to invoicing discipline that invoices go out on a timely basis, that we're not sending them out late because we need to collect on that cash. And some customers pay great, they pay right away. Others sit on invoices, pay right at that due date. Others take constant reminders. Now, I'm developing a cash collections app at tryextend.com. So if you'd like to check that out, let me know. I'll have another link in the show notes and we can talk. We can set up a time. But think about now we've got to collect on cash. And that has to be, again, also a discipline process. Say we want to remind them on the due date if we haven't received any cash. But what if we invoiced one batch on the first of the month, another batch on the fifth of the month, right? That whole second cohort of invoices that were invoiced late, well, they're not going to get reminded, say, until day 5 of the next month. So that's why invoicing discipline is critical. So then we can properly follow up on the due date, maybe 7 days past the due date, 14 days past the due date, etc. And again, I've got an app now that automates that process. So you don't have to do that manually, don't have to call manually, etc. So again, I'll have a link in the show notes. So invoicing discipline, so important. We send them out at the right time. We monitor our DSO, make sure that's not increasing, make sure we're working on that DSO number. And also have a cash collections cadence because payment reminders do work. We want to make sure we're reminding them at the right time, reminding the right person so they can pay those invoices timely. Otherwise, again, it takes a huge manual effort. So in the show notes, I'll have a couple links for you. And again, this gets in just the nitty gritty of invoicing and accounting operations, but so critical because there's no cash coming in if you don't invoice your customers.